They were once closer than anything else in the world, but time and distance changed everything. Now one of them is far away, and the other is left behind feeling lost. This is a story of hope, of trying again, and of what it means to be human. Liam sat alone by the window. The sky was gray and soft rain fell outside. His room was quiet. He could hear only the ticking of the clock on the wall. It had been 3 months since Maya moved away. She was his best friend. They used to talk every day. They laughed about silly things. They shared stories, dreams, and snacks. But ever since she left for another city, everything felt different. She was still out there, but the space between them felt huge. Liam still sent her messages sometimes, but the replies came slower now. Sometimes a day later, sometimes not at all. He didn't blame her. She had a new school, new friends, new life, but it hurt. Deep inside, he felt like a part of him had gone missing. He looked at the photo on his desk. It was from last summer. Maya and Liam were sitting on the swing in the park, smiling under the sun. That day had felt endless, like nothing would ever change. But now, things were quiet, too quiet. Liam missed her voice the most. She used to call him just to talk about the clouds or her cat. Now the phone hardly rang. Sometimes he wondered, had she forgotten him? Was he just a memory now? He sighed and leaned back, didn't know how to tell her how he felt. What if it made her feel bad? Or what if she had moved on completely? That night, he opened his notebook. It was the one he and Maya used to share. They wrote stories in it, 1 page each, back and forth. He flipped through the pages. Dragons, robots, talking dogs, they had written it all. At the end of one story, Maya had written, "No matter what, we'll always be a team." His hands shook a little. He picked up a pen and wrote on a blank page, "I miss the team." Stared at those words for a while. Then he added more. "Things feel empty here without you. I don't know if you feel the same, but I just wanted you to know." He stopped. Was this too much? He didn't know, but it felt real. He tore the page out, folded it, and slipped it into an envelope. He didn't write her address yet, just held it. The next day, Liam went to the park alone. The same swing was still there. It's the same trees, the same breeze, but without her. It all felt faded. A little girl ran past him chasing a red balloon. Her laughter echoed. Liam smiled for a second. Then his phone buzzed. It was a message from Maya. "Hey, I found our old photo today. I miss you." Liam's eyes opened wide. His heart beat faster. He didn't know what to say at first. But then he typed slowly. "I was just thinking about you too. I wrote you something. It's small, but I meant it," Maya replied. "I want to read it. I'm sorry I've been quiet. It's been hard here. Everything's new. But I didn't forget you." Liam felt a warmth inside that he hadn't felt in weeks. Maybe she hadn't moved on. Maybe she was just trying to figure things out too. He ran home and looked at the envelope again. This time he wrote her address on it. Then he added a drawing of a tiny rocket in the corner, just like they used to do at the post office. He waited in line with the letter in his hand. When it was his turn, he gave it to the clerk. "Is it important?" the clerk asked. Liam smiled a little. "Yes, very." When he got home, he opened their old notebook again. On the next page, he wrote a new story. It started with a boy and a girl who lived on different planets, but they built a bridge of light so they could visit each other any time. The bridge grew stronger each time they believed. Liam didn't know what the next days would bring. Maybe Maya would write back. Maybe they would start calling again. Maybe things would still feel hard sometimes. But for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel alone. He felt human, and that meant hope. Asterisk sometimes. All it takes is one small step to start something big. Liam missed Maya more than words could say. But even a quiet heart can grow strong when it holds on to hope. In this part of the story, Liam learns that distance doesn't always mean the end. Liam waited by the mailbox every day after school, checked it even when he knew it was too early. The letter he sent to Maya had been mailed 2 days ago, and still he waited. Each time he opened the box and found nothing, his heart sank. Just a little. The days felt long. He still sat by the window. He still went to the park alone. but something inside him had changed. The letter had given him a small push, like a light turning on in the dark. He was still sad, yes, but now there was also something else, small. Hope. He remembered how Maya once said, "Hope is like a candle. It doesn't need much to stay alive." One afternoon, the wind outside was loud. The trees moved like they were trying to dance in the storm. Liam came home from school, dropped his bag, and went to the mailbox. Inside, there was a small white envelope. It had his name on it. His hands began to shake. He ran to his room and opened it slowly. The letter inside was written in Maya's handwriting. "Dear Liam," it began. "I got your letter today. I cried when I read it. Not because I was sad, but because I didn't know how much I needed it. You reminded me that I'm not alone. I'm sorry for not writing sooner. Thought maybe you were busy too. But I never stopped thinking about you." Liam smiled as he read. She wrote about her new school, her classes, the city sounds, and even a cat she had started feeding near her apartment. But the best part came at the end. "I still believe we're a team. Maybe the notebook is still open. Let's keep writing." Liam held the letter close to his chest. He didn't know letters could feel warm, but this one did. That evening, he picked up their notebook again. He turned the page and began a new story. This time, the boy from the last story was building something. A signal tower, a way to send light across space to his friend. Even if they couldn't hear each other, the light would shine. It would say, "I'm still here." As Liam wrote, he smiled. The first time in weeks his room didn't feel so quiet. Even the ticking clock felt like a friend. Over the next few days, they wrote letters back and forth. Maya told him about her drawing class. Liam told her about the new books he was reading. Sometimes they just wrote funny things, like stories about a talking toaster or a dancing squirrel. It didn't matter what they wrote, only that they wrote. But one day, a letter didn't come. Then another day passed. Liam checked the mailbox. Again and again. His hope began to flicker. Was she okay? Did something happen? He didn't know what to do. Then he remembered something Maya once said. When you don't know what to do something kind. So he wrote her a new letter. But this time, it wasn't just about him. He wrote, "I hope you're okay. I know things can get busy or hard. I just want you to know that I'm here. Even if you can't write back right now, that's okay. I'll keep writing until you're ready." He added a small drawing of a candle. Under it, he wrote, "This is for your light, in case it feels low." He sent it the next morning. Then he waited. 4 days later, the letter came. Maya's words were shaky. "Liam, thank you. I needed that. Things got rough here. I didn't want to talk to anyone, but your letter felt like a hug. It reminded me that I'm not lost. It gave me light when I didn't have any." Liam sat with the letter in his hand for a long time. He realized something. Even when people are far away, kindness can still travel. Words can still reach them. And even when someone goes quiet, it doesn't always mean they don't care. Sometimes, they're just waiting for a little light to find them. Liam didn't feel sad anymore. At least, not like before. The space between him and Maya was still there, but now it was filled with letters, stories, and hope. He opened their notebook one more time. This time he wrote about two people who built bridges not with wood, not with steel, but with small notes and kind words. Every bridge they built helped them feel closer, even when the stars were far. And in the last line, he wrote, "Being human means we try, even when it's hard. That's how we shine. Distance can be quiet. It doesn't shout. Slowly builds walls between hearts. But some people, even in silence, keep trying." In this part, Liam learns that connection is not always perfect, but it's always worth the effort. Because to be human is to care. Liam looked outside his window. The trees were turning yellow. Autumn had arrived. The wind was cooler, and the sky stayed gray most days. He watched a leaf fall from a branch and drift down. It reminded him of how he felt inside, like something had changed. He couldn't stop it. It had been 2 weeks since the last letter. From Maya, he tried not to think about it too much. Told himself she was probably busy. Maybe school had become harder. Maybe something had come up at home. But still, each day without a letter felt heavier than the last. He walked to the mailbox. Every evening, most days, it was empty. Some days it had only ads or bills, but never a letter from her. The silence started to grow inside him again. He began writing letters he didn't send. Some were long, filled with thoughts and questions. Some were short, just a line or two. He kept them in a small box under his bed. One letter simply said, "I miss your voice." Another said, "I hope you're smiling somewhere." He didn't know if she would ever read them, but writing made him feel a little less alone. One Saturday morning, Liam took his notebook and went to the park. It was where they used to sit. Together, he chose the same old bench near the swings. A boy and girl were playing nearby. They laughed loudly as they chased each other around the trees. Liam smiled. It reminded him of better days. He opened the notebook and started to write again. This time, the story was about a girl who got lost in a new city. The streets were loud and she didn't know anyone. But every day she found a small note waiting. On her windowsill, the notes didn't say who they were from, but they always made her feel safe. One said, "You are strong." Another said, "Someone believes in you." In the end, the girl followed the trail of notes and found a bridge of light that led her home. Liam closed the notebook slowly. He didn't know if Maya would ever read the story, but he hoped deep down that she would feel something. Tug. In her heart, a whisper. Something that said, "You're still not alone." Later that evening, he sat by the window again. He stared at the stars. They looked the same as always, bright and far. He wondered if Maya was looking at the same sky. Maybe she was sitting by her window too, thinking the same thing. He picked up his phone. His fingers hovered over the screen. He wanted to call her, but what if she didn't answer? What if it made things worse? He typed a message, but didn't send it. Instead, he did something else. He went to the shelf and picked up a photo frame. It was the one with their picture from last summer. He held it in both hands and whispered, "I'm still here."
At night,
he had a dream. In the dream, he was on a spaceship. He was flying across stars and planets. He carried a box full of letters. One glowed with a soft light. He left them on floating clouds, hoping they would reach her. When he woke up, he had a new idea. He grabbed his notebook and started a new story. A boy on a ship, a sky full of stars, letters that could travel through space and time, finding the one person who needed them. He wrote slowly, carefully. Every word mattered. He didn't know if Maya would ever see it. But that wasn't the point anymore. The point was that he still cared. He was still trying. He was still human, and that meant something. That evening, as he walked to the mailbox again, he didn't expect anything. But when he opened the box, something was there. A small envelope. His name written in blue ink. His heart jumped. He ran back inside. Holding the letter tightly, inside, Maya's handwriting greeted him again. "Dear Liam, I'm sorry for being quiet. Things have been hard. I didn't have the words. But today, I read our old story again. It's the one about the rocket and the light bridge. It made me cry. It made me feel alive again. Thank you for never giving up. You reminded me that I'm still part of something good. I'm sending you a story next. Let's keep going." Liam smiled through tears. He wasn't lost, and neither was she. Asterisk sometimes. Even when the connection feels broken, one small spark can bring it back to life. Liam still missed Maya, but he never stopped believing. In this part of the story, the quiet effort of the heart becomes something strong, something that keeps reaching forward. Liam sat on the floor of his room, notebook open beside him. His fingers touched the edge of the letter Maya had sent last week. He had read it many times, but each time still felt special. He had waited so long for her reply. And now that it came, it felt like a soft light had returned. But even with her letter in his hands, he still felt something was missing. The words were kind, honest. They reminded him of who she was, but there was still distance between them. Not in the way people measure miles, but in feeling. He wanted to talk to her again like they used to. wanted to laugh with her about strange dreams and silly thoughts. He wanted the closeness back. But he didn't know how to say it. He feared that asking too much might push her away again. That evening, Liam walked outside. The air was cold, and the trees had lost many leaves. He walked to the small hill behind his school where he and Maya once flew paper planes. He sat on the grass and looked up. The sky was wide and quiet. It reminded him how small he was. But somehow, it also made him feel brave. He picked up a dry leaf and traced a line in the dirt with it. Then he pulled out a small piece of paper from his pocket and began to write. He wrote a short message. Simple. Not too long. I hope your days are kind to you. I hope your nights feel safe. I'm still here. I still care. He didn't send it. Instead, folded it and placed it inside their notebook. He decided something that night. Even if he couldn't always reach her, he would keep writing, would keep building the bridge, even if only from his side. Because that's what people do when they care. They keep trying. The next few days, he kept himself busy. He wrote more pages in their notebook. He drew small pictures. He even copied poems he liked. Each word was a way to keep her close, even in silence. Then, one afternoon his phone buzzed. It was a voice message from Maya. He didn't expect it. His heart beat fast as he hit play. Her voice came through, soft, quiet, a little tired. Hey Liam, I don't know why, but today I really needed to hear from you. So I went back to your letter. Then I remembered that swing in the park. It's one that made that funny noise when we jumped. I miss that. I miss ... us. I'm sorry I disappeared. I think I was afraid you'd moved on. Liam held the phone in both hands. His eyes filled with tears. She had missed him too. He sent her a reply. Not perfect, not long, just real. I never moved on. I waited. I'm still waiting, and I'm here whenever you're ready. The next day she called. It wasn't a long call. They didn't talk for hours like they used to. But they talked. They laughed once. They paused a few times. And they smiled more than they spoke. It felt like the first small step back to something important. Later that night, Liam sat at his desk. He looked at their notebook, now half full. He started a new story. This time it was about a boy who carried a jar of stars. Whenever he felt lonely, he opened the jar and let one star out. Each star flew to someone he missed. He never knew if the stars reached them, but still, he believed, because belief was his way of loving. And in the story, one day someone sent a star back. Liam closed the notebook and smiled. Things weren't perfect. They still lived in different places. Their lives were still busy. But something strong had grown between them, something quiet, full of light. It wasn't just letters or words or stories. It was something deeper. It was the kind of hope only humans carry, the kind that keeps them reaching across space, across silence, across fear, just to say, I still care. Sometimes that's enough to begin again. Even when words feel small, they can carry deep meaning. Liam missed Maya every day, but something inside him kept him moving forward. In this part, his quiet strength and human hope lead to a moment that feels like the beginning of something. Liam sat in the school library, flipping through a book he had read many times before. But today, he wasn't really reading. His mind kept drifting. His thoughts were far away. It had been 1 week since Maya called. The memory of her voice still stayed with him. It made him smile. But after that short call, there had been no more. Messages. No new letters. No missed calls. Just silence again. Liam didn't feel angry. He just felt confused. He kept thinking, maybe she was trying in her own way. The silence wasn't distance. Maybe it was just life being heavy still. It hurt. He opened his notebook and wrote a few lines. Even when we don't speak, I still carry your name in my heart. He closed the book and looked around the library. Students were reading, writing, whispering. Everyone looked busy, but he felt like the only one lost in thought. That evening, at home, he opened a box under his bed. It was the one where he kept all the letters he had written, but never sent. Dozens of folded pages. Some were old, from the first few weeks after Maya moved away. Some were recent. None of them had stamps. He picked one and read it again. It said, "Today, I saw a bird fly alone across the sky. I wondered where it was going. Then I thought maybe it was just trying to find someone. Like me, he took a deep breath and finally made a choice. He would send them, not all. Just a few. Maybe she needed to hear everything he had never said. The next day, he picked 5 letters, added small doodles on each envelope, a star, a flower, a balloon, a tree. He dropped them in the mailbox before he could change his mind. Then he waited. The days passed slowly. He checked his phone often. He looked at the sky often, too. It became a habit whenever he felt alone. He would look up and imagine her seeing the same sky from her side of the world. He wondered if she had received them. He wondered if she smiled. Then one day, a package arrived at his door. It was small and wrapped in brown paper. His name was written on the front. He opened it carefully. Inside was a notebook, not the old one, a new one. The first page had a message in Maya's handwriting. "You kept writing, so now I will too." Tears filled Liam's eyes. He turned the page. There was a story when she had written. It was about 2 people sending paper planes across the sea. The wind would take them. Sometimes the planes were torn or lost, but one day, one reached the other side. It landed at someone's feet. That person picked it up and smiled. Under the story she had written, "I got your letters. Every one of them felt like a star. I didn't know how much I needed them. Thank you for sending them, even when I was quiet." Liam hugged the notebook close to his chest. For a long time, just sat there. He didn't need to say anything. He felt understood that night. He didn't feel sad. He wrote a new letter in the notebook on the very next page. "I don't know where this will take us, but I'm ready to walk, even in the dark. If you walk too. Let's keep sending stars." Then he added a drawing of 2 people holding lanterns, walking across a long bridge. A bridge made of hope, because that's what they were building, not something loud. Not something perfect, just something real, and that was enough. Asterisk, some connections take time. They stretch across miles, across days, across silence. But when the heart keeps trying, even from a distance, something beautiful begins to grow. It's part. Liam learns that true care never fades. It just waits for the right moment to shine again. Liam sat at his desk with the new notebook Maya had sent him. He touched the cover softly and opened it to the story she had written. He had read it many times now, but each time it gave him comfort. Her words were still with him. Her story felt like a bridge between their 2 lives. Still, even though they had exchanged letters again, Liam could feel something else growing, an unknown feeling. It was hard to explain. It wasn't sadness, not fully. It was more like wondering. He still didn't know where they stood. They were talking again, writing, sharing stories. But sometimes he wondered if Maya really wanted to be close again, or if she was just being kind. That thought made him quiet. For the next few days, he didn't write. He needed to think. He went for long walks by himself, through the trees, round the schoolyard, past the old bench at the park. His hands stayed in his pockets, and his head stayed low. One afternoon, while walking near the library, he saw something that made him stop. A young boy was sitting on the steps crying. His backpack was open and papers were blowing in the wind. No one else seemed to notice. Liam walked over slowly. "Hey," he said gently. "Are you okay?" The boy wiped his eyes. "I lost my story." "Your story?" The boy nodded. "Wrote it for class, but the wind took it." Liam looked around. Pages were scattered across the sidewalk. "I'll help you find them," he said. Together they ran after the pages. Some were caught in bushes. One flew under a bench. They gathered them all. The boy smiled. "Thanks," he said. Liam handed him the last page. "Stories are important." The boy looked at him and said, "Even if no one reads them." Liam smiled. "Especially then." That night, Liam sat with his notebook again. He thought about what the boy had said. Even if no one reads them? That question stayed with him. Liam realized something. He hadn't stopped writing because he had nothing left to say. He had stopped because he was afraid Maya didn't care as much as he did. But writing wasn't about answers. It wasn't about getting the same thing back. It was about sharing what was inside. That was the human part. Trying, even when it's hard. Caring, even when it's quiet. So he picked up his pen again. He wrote a story about a girl who stood by the sea, throwing glass bottles into the water. Inside each bottle was a message. Most were never found. But she still sent them because it helped her breathe. And one day, a bottle came back. Liam didn't know if Maya would reply again. He didn't even know if she would keep writing. But that didn't matter as much anymore. He was writing because he meant it, because he still cared, because being human wasn't about control. It was about heart. The next day, he mailed the story to her, just one envelope this time. Inside, with the story, he wrote, "Even if you don't reply, I'll still write. That's how much this means to me." A week passed. Then 2, no answer. Liam still checked the mailbox, still looked at the sky, but this time, his heart didn't feel heavy, just open. Then, on a quiet Thursday morning, something happened. He got a package, not from Maya, but from her mother. Inside was a note, "Liam. Thank you for your letters and stories. Maya's okay, but she needed some time away. She kept everything you sent. I found this notebook by her bed. She asked me to return it to you if she stayed quiet too long. She said it was full of stars." Liam opened the notebook. It was the one he had sent her first. Every page had his stories. But now, there were marks, small drawings, notes in the margins, lines underlined, hearts in the corners. She had read everything. She had felt it. She had cared. Even in silence, she had been listening. Liam closed the notebook and placed it on his desk. He looked outside. The sun was rising. The sky was soft with gold and pink. He smiled not because everything was fixed, but because he understood something now. Love doesn't always speak loudly. Sometimes, quiet, but it still reaches it. Still shines, and he would keep writing, because that's what humans do. They hope. Sometimes the people we miss the most are the ones we say the least to. But when one person keeps believing, the story doesn't end. It just takes a new shape. In this part, Liam learns that quiet love still leaves a mark, and hope keeps reaching. Forward, Liam sat on the school bus, watching the trees pass by. They were bare now. Winter was close. The windows were foggy, and his breath made little clouds on the glass. The notebook Maya's mother had returned was in his backpack. He had read every marked page again the night before. Every circle she made. Every note in the corner. It felt like she had been sitting beside him all along. Still, she had not written back. Not in her words. Not yet. But Liam was not angry. Not anymore. He understood that some people don't know how to reply when life becomes heavy. He'd felt that himself too. Sometimes silence doesn't mean someone stopped caring. It only means they don't know how to begin again. He stepped off the bus and walked slowly toward school. The sky was quiet. The morning cold wrapped around his coat. But inside his heart, there was still a warm place that kept glowing. He held onto that. During lunch, Liam sat by the window in the library again. He opened his notebook and began writing. Didn't force the words. He just let them come. The story was about 2 travelers. They walked different paths. One through mountains, one through forests. For a long time, they had no map. They just hoped their paths would meet again. Each of them left small signs along the road. A ribbon tied to a tree. A message written on a stone. A flower placed under the stars. In the story, they didn't see each other for many moons. But one day, one of them found a ribbon, blowing in the wind. Liam smiled and closed the notebook. He didn't need to send it right away. This story was for him too. It helped him feel brave. That evening when he got home, something strange happened. There was a message waiting on his phone, not a long one, just 3 words. From Maya, I'm coming soon. His eyes filled with tears. He didn't know what it meant. Was she visiting? Was she moving back? Or did she just mean she was returning in some way, ready to talk again? He didn't care. The words were enough. He whispered them to himself. I'm coming soon, like a promise. like a soft light in the dark. The next few days moved slowly. Liam didn't tell anyone. He didn't want to break the moment. He just kept writing, thinking, waiting. One afternoon, he went to the park again. The swing was cold and still. The sky was pale. He sat on the bench and pulled out the drawing Maya had once made, a paper copy he always kept in his pocket. Now it was the two of them flying paper planes across a big, open sky. He looked at it and smiled. Then he heard a voice. "Is this seat taken?" He turned around. It was Maya, standing there. Her hair was longer now. She wore a warm coat and held a small notebook in her hand. Liam stood up too fast. He didn't know what to say. His throat felt full. His eyes felt heavy. Maya smiled gently. "I read everything," she said. He nodded, his heart thudding. "I didn't know how to answer," she added. "But every word helped me find my way back." He looked at her and said the only thing he could. "You're here." She nodded. "I'm here." They sat down side by side on the old bench. The cold didn't matter anymore. Maya opened her notebook. "I started writing again. Do you want to read something?" Liam reached out, always. Didn't talk much after that. They didn't need to. They watched the sky change colors together. They listened to the quiet wind. And for the first time in a long while, Liam didn't feel far away from her. They were not the same people they used to be, but they were still them. Still part of the same story, still human, still hopeful. And now, finally, side by side again. Asterisk, some stories are not about perfect endings. They are about trying, waiting, and finding hope in quiet moments. In this final part, Liam and Maya learn that distance doesn't end a bond, it simply changes how it grows. And where there is care, there is always light. The next morning, Liam woke up early. The sun was just rising, and the sky outside his window was a soft mix of gold and blue. For the first time in months, he felt calm. He sat up and looked at the notebook on his desk. It was the same one Maya gave him, now filled with stories, drawings, and quiet thoughts from both of them. She was here again, at least for now. They didn't talk every hour. They didn't go back to how things used to be.
That was okay.
What they had now was something new, something real. They had both changed, but the care between them had not. Later that day, Liam met Maya in the park again. They sat on the same old bench. This time they didn't bring notebooks, just themselves. They talked slowly about small things, about school, the weather, even a cat that had followed Maya to the bus stop that morning. Nothing big, but everything felt right. Maya looked at Liam and said, "I thought I lost you." Liam shook his head. "You didn't. I was always here, just waiting." She looked down for a second. "I was scared. I didn't know how to reach out. I thought maybe you'd stopped caring." Liam smiled softly. I just didn't know how to keep going without you, but I kept trying." Nodded, and I felt it, even far away. For a while, they sat in silence, but it wasn't the sad kind. It was full of peace. Then Maya reached into her bag and pulled out a folded piece of paper. "I wrote something for you," she said. Liam took it and opened it slowly. It was a poem, a short one. It said, "When you couldn't see me, you still lit the way. When I stopped speaking, your words chose to stay. Now we are here, not where we began, but we are still us, still reaching by hand." Liam blinked, holding the paper carefully. "Thank you," he whispered. Maya looked at him. "You reminded me what it means to be human. To care even without answers. To love without needing something back right away." Liam looked up at the sky. The clouds were moving slowly. Light passed through the trees. "I think that's what hope is," he said. "It's not loud. It's just staying." Maya smiled. "Exactly." That evening, they went to the bookstore they used to visit. It still smelled like paper and old stories. They picked out a blank notebook together, new, clean, waiting to be filled. They decided to start fresh, a new notebook. No pressure, no rules, just something they would build again, one page at a time. Over the next few weeks, things stayed simple. They didn't see each other every day. They didn't send messages all the time, right? They stayed close in the quiet way. In the way that feels steady and kind, Liam still wrote stories. So did Maya. Sometimes they wrote for each other. Sometimes just for themselves. One afternoon, Liam sat alone in his room. He looked at both notebooks, the old one and the new one. He saw all the pages, all the feelings, all the small steps they had taken to find their way back. He thought about how far they had come, not just in miles, but in trust, in care, in hope. He picked up his pen and wrote on the first page of the new notebook, "This story is not about endings. It's about staying when it's hard, about trying again. It's about lighting the way for someone, even when they are far. That's what makes us human. That's what makes us shine." He paused for a second, then added, "And we are still shining,